What an interesting analysis, Anuj, and I think you summed it up so well. This is the Rahul Dravid of the Indian stock market, or maybe, the Nifty at least. Just curious, I mean, what did you find most interesting? How did you decide to focus on Asian Paints? Because you elaborated so well. It's really a fascinating all-round story.
You could have you could have figured this out. I really enjoyed doing this research, Surabhi. So it's a fascinating story, right? I remember when Asian Paints had first hit the Nifty, and it was like, wow, paint company making it into the index. And I tell you one more thing, just one more lesson that actually I should have spoken about is that Asian Paints also has the lowest beta. So the largest wealth normally is created by staying invested in some of the what you call the boring stocks. But they will keep compounding, and the most important aspect is that like Saurabh was saying that day, that the stock should not embarrass you in down years. If in down years it can outperform, nothing like it, and that's really been a phenomenal story. The only question now is, though, this is looking at the rear view mirror. All of this has played out, but can it continue to play out over the next decade? That is important. In fact, on that, let me ask Prakash. Prakash Diwan, tell us, Asian Paints at 1940, of course, phenomenal portfolio stock, but at these levels, what would be your call?
Yeah, so Anuj, wonderful wrap up on this thing, and it's really fascinating to see the kind of detailing with which you explained what the wealth creation journey, why the wealth creation journey is so salient and unique. What does an investor do now? I think you would still have to buy it. The reason being, look at the industry as a whole. It's dominated by some of these organized names, organized players. Very few unlisted players. There's a whole smattering of unlisted, unorganized segment which is there, but that's not something that's going to eat into the market share. I wouldn't be surprised post this lockdown, some of the larger names like Asian Paints itself could see an incremental market share improvement when they go on, and that scale gives them a lot of this thing. And just on a channel check basis, if ever you get a chance to visit on Hill Road in Bandra, they've got this new outlet which they've created, which is an experiential based selling that they are doing. It is absolutely ahead of the rest of the pack. It is a different experience using augmented reality, virtual reality techniques and softwares, which actually help you in the decision making process. And they were the ones who brought that decision making from the painter or the vendor to the consumer directly. So it was that big move and that's why it gets a brand valuation. That's why it gets a P multiple of a consumption stock and not of a hardware stock. Now coming back to the current levels, I've always believed it's a buy on dips play. You may not be able to get the best out of it at this time, but if you are holding it for 6 years, 7 years, maybe that 100, 200 rupees, you don't have to wait for it to fall down. But the crisis issues, the kind of crisis that emanate in a market because of volatility, because of other external events, those are the times that you need to keep on sipping into this, adding this to your portfolio. But I wouldn't be afraid of buying into it if I had the money and the allocation was still due. We are overweight on the stock in any case in some of our portfolios, so I don't get the chance to do it. But I think it's still it makes for a great portfolio stock at these levels as well.
I think for those not living in Mumbai, Hill Road, of course, is a very prominent area in the posh suburbs of Mumbai and of Bandra. And you can see that big store that Prakash is talking about. It's actually an iconic store in itself. It's a bit of a landmark. Prakash, thanks a lot for joining us today. And of course, we'll talk to you next week. Thanks a lot for joining us. Surabhi, over to you.
Okay, all right, that is Asian Paints. Well, after talking about such big landmark stocks, we're going to go and kick off our chat with Viraj Mehta. He is our Alpha Manager of the day, and he is from Aquarius Securities. And Viraj, of course, and his team have been picking some very interesting mid-caps through the years, including some names from the specialty chemical segment as well. So Viraj, we're having a very interesting chat. Let me start by asking you this. Now, over the next 1 to 2 years, is more money going to be made by picking the right mid-cap, or will more money be made by simply tracking the Asian Paints and the HDFC banks of the world?
Thanks a lot, Surabhi, for having me on your show. we feel, small and mid caps have been in bear market for almost 2.5 years now, since January 18, basically. Um, and a lot of those companies actually delivered decent performance on the financial matrix, but the PE just kept on getting derated more and more. Uh, we feel if you actually have a 2-year horizon, some of the good mid cap and small cap stocks should do significantly better than some of the larger peers, who we think are priced to perfection. Anuj mentioned about Asian Paints over last 10 years, how well they have done. The interesting bit is that 75% of the return has actually come due to PE re-rating, and only 25% of the total return has come due to earnings growth. There is a limit to which I think PE can get re-rated, and which we think is abnormally high for some of these companies. Whereas on the other side of the trajectory, you have some of the smaller companies which are growing actually faster, but are getting PE which is worth nothing. So to us, it looks like a no-brainer to be far more larger invested in some of these companies than larger ones.
Yeah, that's a fair point. A lot of this is because of PE multiple expansion, and how much of that can continue, you have to find out. By the way, don't lose sight of the market and look at ICICI Bank and Axis Bank's intraday charts. The corporate banks, they are the ones which have underperformed, and now you're beginning to see the point you made in the morning as well, that keep an eye on these stocks for last hour today. If there's any short covering, they could lead. So ICICI Bank is the one which is now at high point of the day. Even Axis Bank is beginning to recover from the lowest point. So let's talk about some themes then. Viraj, good afternoon. So first, you're saying that it's time to book profit in pharma and specialty chemicals. That's a big call, because that's something which has made a lot of money for you and for investors. What makes you take that call?
So we essentially look at what is the risk reward in companies and what do we see in companies over the next few years. I'm not saying that these companies are going to do badly, but if you look at some of the pharmaceuticals and specialty chemicals, and we were one of the early entrants, they were in our portfolio when the PMS started, and which is why the returns of our portfolio looks far superior compared to a lot of other small and mid-cap portfolios. But when a company does a decade high margin and they are at a decade high valuation, then the only upside which is left for us as an equity investor is the best case scenario is the earnings growth they'll post. So if today some pieces of the portfolio are at 30, 35 PE, whereas we actually bought them at 10, 12 PE, as a basket, we feel that is not a very right approach to have. I am only saying that if it becomes a very large portion of our portfolio at 30-35%, we have essentially trimmed it to half of that. And even within that, we have to go company by company. Some of the companies are still very cheap. The idea is to essentially sell a lot of stocks which are today in the limelight and are getting very high earnings multiple, to look at companies which will show earnings growth over next 3 years, but are not getting the multiple today. So that is why we have essentially trimmed our allocation to specialty chemicals and pharmaceuticals, because it was north of 30-35% for us.
Okay, so you have been ahead of the curve, so to speak, when it comes to chemicals. So let me ask you about a sector that I know you are looking at closely right now, and that is financials. I think some of the gold financier stocks, I think Manappuram is already a key holding for you. Now, how are you going about selecting? Because the reality will start, unraveling now. The moratorium's over. We have to see how this restructuring goes, where the slippages are higher. So how will you pick the lenders or the NBFCs?
So within lenders, we essentially are not looking at unsecured lenders. We are looking at secured lenders, be it on the gold financing side, be it on the housing finance side. If you today look at the market and how is it painting the lenders, it is painting all the lenders with the same brush. it is saying that an unsecured microfinance will have essentially the same credit cost as that of a housing finance. We do not tend to agree with that thought process. We think that they will have some credit cost, but housing finance companies and gold finance companies are far more safer and secular bet. Today, if you look at the credit cost of somebody like Repco Home Finance or HDFC Limited, the total actual credit cost over last 20 years is not even 10 bips of their overall loan rollout. In such a scenario, if they are available to us at half times book for Repco or 1.5 times book for HDFC Limited, adjusted for their subsidiaries, I think they will come back to growth next year. They will essentially have some write-offs, but reasonable ROE this year, and next year there will be a jump in ROE. And today nobody is looking at them. I think these secured lenders will make 15 to 17% ROE over a longer term and should trade at a much more premium than they are doing today. That is what excites us, because when market paints all the companies in a sector with the same brush, there are always opportunities in that. So within financials, we like the secured lenders there.
Okay, fair point. Now, very interesting argument that you have on telecom stocks, that this is a one-time re-rating and ARPUs will go up. So are you saying that once this re-rating is done, we should not consider these as, compounders going forward? This is just one-time re-rating, and after that perhaps market performers or even underperformer, or do you have a more positive stance on names like Bharti?
So if you look at globally how telecom stocks trade once the market matures. Once the market matures and market share matures, you essentially have the ARPU growth for these companies, which essentially is the reward for the shareholders, plus the dividend. These stocks trade as dividend yield stocks in most of the developed countries. Now in India, there is an incredible scenario under which I think the current ARPUs are very subdued in terms of where they should be. And there we would see a significant increase between, I would think, 60 to 80% increase over next 1.5, 2 years. But once, and which would mean the EBITDA and earnings would go up 2.5, 3 times. But if you bake that in, post that, because the market is saturated, what kind of a multiple would you give to that? So we are not too sure how market will read into that. So I don't want to be in a situation where 2 or 3 years out, when everybody realizes that now earnings growth looks difficult, what kind of a multiple these should trade at. So we could make 50, 70% in a large cap over 2 years, which is great, but they are no longer distressed valuations. And if market takes a view that they should trade as dividend stocks, just like a lot of other of their peers in developed markets or Southeast Asian countries, then we will face a redeployment challenge in some of these stocks. So that's why we don't really want to invest in those, and we want to keep away.
Okay, so very interesting thoughts and the rationale there, including on, of course, telecom and specialty chemical stocks, which have been the toast of town otherwise for the market. Thank you, Viraj. Good talking to you, and we hope to catch more of you over the coming weeks on Closing Bell. We'll take a break on that note, come back on the other side and get you trades for the last half hour.